Hey guys, welcome back to another one. So today what I'm going to be showing you is how to clean a possum skull. So right now possums aren't worth much, but still some need to be taken out in order to keep everything in check for their population. So I went ahead and got a possum and I will have the skull clean. In here we just have water and then some detergent just to help clean it up a little bit better. We have it on low right now, and the crock pot has been going for a little bit. What we'll do is take the lid off, and we'll take the skull of the possum. So I didn't clean off anything. It's literally a skull right now. So we'll take it out. Sadly, right now, there is no point in skinning possum, so it's the whole head there. They're not worth anything, but their skull is able to be sold. So we'll go ahead, toss that in there. We'll throw the lid back on. Probably be back in 2 to 3 hours for the possum skull. They do take a little bit longer, kind of like a beaver, not quite as long, since they aren't nearly as big. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll move on to the next step for it. The possum head is ready to come out of the crock pot. So we'll go ahead and get that out for you guys. I'm just going to tear off what I can while it's in the crock pot, just because a little less for you guys to see. So tear off that little bit for us. We'll go ahead. Just like most animals, the jaw kind of comes apart into 2 pieces after being in the crock pot for so long. And we'll grab this here. Just like that. So we got the lower jaw and the 2 pieces, and then we have the actual skull right here. So we'll go ahead and time-lapse cleaning this up. Just like all other skulls, you just want to get all the meat, tissue, any hair, and any of that stuff off of it. So we'll go ahead and get going on that. We got the possum skull here, so we got that lower jaw right here for us. So that'll just get attached just like that. And then with the head, it is very touchy. So this bone actually isn't even together. It is 2 separate ones. So we'll actually need to super glue this and this side back, because the actual eye section is separated. So we'll go ahead. The whole front usually kind of falls off of it, so you kind of have to piece it back together. With possums, they're pretty delicate. And then this one will go right back there, just like this. And it goes inside. So you can kind of see the gist, and then you have to put this one back because that one fell off. It's basically like Legos. So I'll go ahead and actually super glue it all back together before putting it into the hydrogen peroxide. So first we just need to let it dry overnight, and then we can go ahead and actually super glue it. And then after that, we'll actually put it into the hydrogen peroxide solution. What I typically use is the same for all animals, is just 3% hydrogen peroxide from, say, the grocery store. And then from there, go ahead and dilute it by half with water. So then it's just basically a 1.5% solution. Everyone has their own. Some people just use straight 3%. Some people use even stronger. I find that that just works, especially with these really delicate skulls. You don't want something super aggressive. So leaving it in there for 30 minutes, seeing how it looks, and then check it every 15 minutes from there until you get that desired whiteness. And then once you have that, you gotta also judge how brittle it is becoming, because the hydrogen peroxide does eat away. So it will destroy what little bone structure these kind of skulls have. Compared to like beaver and stuff, a lot more robust. You can leave it in there a lot longer. These and smaller animals like squirrels, muskrats, rabbits, you can't leave in as long just because the actual bone itself isn't thick enough to survive a really long time in hydrogen peroxide. So we'll go ahead and actually get this all super glued back together and then put it into hydro. And then we'll come back once we're at that stage. We got the possum skull out of the hydrogen peroxide solution, and then I went ahead and actually washed it off as well. So I went ahead and super glued a couple of the bits and pieces of the bone that fell apart in the boil. Not necessarily boil, but while we were cooking to get all the meat off. One way to kind of get away from that is to cut off all the meat that you can. As you can kind of tell from how this looks, actually, there's quite a bit of extra meat and hair that you can go ahead and take off just to make that process a little quicker so then it doesn't get as brittle. More things hold together, so less gluing overall. After the hydrogen peroxide, went ahead and washed it just under some lukewarm water. And then the same with the lower jaw as well. Sometimes it'll stay together depending on how strong right here is, but generally they'll fall apart, especially after the hydrogen peroxide mixture. So this was probably in there for about an hour, hour and a half. You could leave it in longer, but then again, you do have to take into account how brittle it will be after the fact. We'll go ahead and let this dry overnight, and then we'll apply the Mop and Glow solution to help seal it in. The only bits of dark that are on it are on the inside of the jaws. Just a real common place for them. And then right on this eye bone right here, which depending on how long you're going to leave it in the solution, it might come away. But it's just really a dark spot, so I don't think it will do well. You can always try acetone and leaving it in there for a couple weeks, but I think it is fine the way it is. So we'll go ahead and just leave it, let it dry out, and then we'll apply the solution tomorrow. We got our possum skull, so we got the lower jaw glued together right there. And then we went ahead and actually glued it to the upper jaw right here, right where these bones connect. They sit right in this cubby, so that's the really only place that you can really get any contact point with the lower to upper, because the teeth don't interlock, kind of like muskrats and beavers and all that. That's all good. We did lose a couple pieces while we were doing the whole process. Can't find where they go, so it should be just fine. And it looks really nice. The last step is we'll apply our sealant solution, which I just use Mop and Glow 1 step. It keeps it nice and sealed, keeps it white for longer, helps protect that bone. We'll go ahead and put it over a container just like this, and we'll just spray it down with the Mop and Glow. We'll put some in that cranium cavity, make sure that that gets a nice amount over it, just like that. And then with all this that's dripping off, it's just going right into the container, which you can just put right back into the bottle right here. So it's not like you're wasting any. Skulls really don't take that much, so it'll actually take you quite a while to use this all up. So this has a nice amount all over it. We'll let it drip off for a second, and then we'll go ahead and let it dry for the rest of the day, get all that Mop and Glow nicely sealed onto there, and then we'll show you the finished product once that happens. The possum skull is all finished drying here from the sealant, so it's ready to go for display or for selling. We got that lower jaw nicely affixed to the top, and then the lower jaw actually glued together as well, so that won't be coming apart. A lot of people like to sell them at conventions and stuff like that. or you can always sell them online as well. So you got a couple different avenues to kind of go ahead and sell. Always make sure that it is okay in your state, as not everywhere is the same, but definitely a good display item if you're just doing it for your own interest. I would always say go ahead and try this on these less expensive animals compared to starting right off the bat with like a coyote. You always want to try to work on smaller, easier animals first, like muskrats, possums, raccoons, before getting to the animals that you won't catch as much, kind of like the beavers and the coyotes, bobcats and stuff like that. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. If you have any ideas, leave them down there too. And as always, thank you for watching.